I have some time today to work in the gardens, so I figured I would bring y'all in here and show you what we have been doing. We got really busy after Hurricane Helene hit. We did get some weather, just some trees down, nothing major. So I've been working on a lot of that cleanup, and then we've just been really busy in the tow trucks, and we had a lot of rain come in, and now it's hunting season. So I do not have a lot of time to be in the garden during the daylight hours because I'm in the truck most of the day and then hunting until dark. So I took today, Peyton and Cheese went to Tallahassee to go run some errands, and I decided to get out here and get some things cleaned up, get some things harvested, and I figured I will show y'all what the garden's looking like. We do have some fall stuff planted. There's still some summer stuff in there that we haven't had to freeze yet, so some of it's still growing. I'm still harvesting peppers and stuff like that, but we're just gonna walk around. I'll show you where we're at now. The plans are for fall garden and what changes we are going to make. We have already put in some watering systems. We're not finished with them. I think that's going to help us a lot with how our stuff grows because we're able to get more water to it. I've been working on fertilizing better. I was horrible with that in the first couple of gardening years, and if you see Nova running around with a cone on her neck, she had to have surgery on her ear. Let's get into what the garden looks like now. This first bed is a pepper bed. We are still getting some peppers out of it. I have got a lot of ant beds in the corners of beds now, and I am getting rid of those with some boiling water. I just pour the boiling water on the ant bed, and it seems to kill them and it doesn't hurt the plants. So that's what we're gonna work on today, is getting these ant beds removed. This is another pepper bed. As the pepper plants have been dying, I've just been pulling them out, and we will pull the cages up and get it ready for anything if it's going to be planted for fall. If not, then we'll just keep a heavy mulch on it all winter long so we don't get weeds. These are our herbs, and we still have a bunch of herbs. Like I said, we haven't got a freeze yet, so we do still have herbs on both of these. It did get into the low 40s and my mint died, and I haven't been able to come out here and stay on top of the basil, so we do have some that has went to seed, but that's fine. Some of the bees have been getting on it, so I'm just going to leave that. We're going to clean this bed out today and get our onions planted. We're going to get all the grass pulled and all the weeds pulled. This bed has already had compost and a layer of mulch on it. I'll just pull the mulch up, plant the onions, and remulch it. This is another pepper bed. This one has bell peppers in it. And like I said, we're still getting some peppers, so I haven't pulled these plants yet. We've got some nice sized bell peppers, not humongous, but this bed is planted with cauliflower. The sprouts are little. I'm not sure if you can see them. These smaller ones are store-bought ones, and then these bigger ones are ones I started. I'm not sure when the store-bought sprouts were started, but mine's bigger. So these are our strawberries, and with this weather going from not super hot to bearable, we're getting another thing of strawberries coming on. I did put some compost in these green stalks. This is my horse manure compost that I have let sit and compost down. So there's a lot of grass in it, but the grass is just really easy to pull out. And somehow, don't ask me how, but we got tomato seeds in there. So we have tomato plants all in this. This is a big one. I mean, that whole thing's a tomato plant. I just haven't got out here and cleaned any of this up. Like I said, it all comes out super easy. I'm able to pull the roots and everything out. So I'll clean all this up if I have time today before it's time to go hunting. If not, we'll leave that for another day. These are some okras I picked and forgot to take them in, so I'll set that bell pepper there. This is a volunteer ground cherry. Didn't even plant it here, but we have one growing. These are jalapenos. Y'all, I'm sorry if y'all can hear that. That is, they're picking cotton. So hopefully you're able to hear. So if we're gonna get a video today, which is the only day I have to be in the garden, we're gonna have to keep doing it in between when that cotton picker comes close to us. I will stop when he gets super close, but you may hear some background noise, and that's what it is. But this is the only way for me to get a video up to give y'all an update on how the garden's looking. So we got this pepper bed here. This is a lot of jalapenos, and I think these are habaneros or habanados. One, they really didn't do good until here when it cooled off and we started getting a bunch of rain. So some of these beds you will see has 4 lines for the watering system. We have went back and added more lines for the watering system, and some of the beds only have 2, and the ones that only have 2 are not doing as well. We just haven't had time to finish adding the lines in, but the extra 2 lines is helping tremendously with the plants. So some of these plants look poor, but they're getting there. This bed is my garlic bed. I just planted garlic last week. That's what those are down there. They're starting to come up, but this is a banana pepper plant, and y'all, it's doing so good. I don't want to pull it out, so I just planted the garlic around it. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to do, but that's what I done, and we'll just see how it works. Over here is the carrot bed. This is the 4th time this year we have planted carrots, and we're getting carrots. After I planted these, it started storming, so I lost a lot of seed. They're so tiny you can barely even see them, but I lost a lot of it to the rain, probably washing them away or whatever. But we've got a decent amount coming up, so we're just gonna leave those. These are our gourds and our volunteer loofah, and I'm not really sure how gourds work. I don't know if you're supposed to pick them like this or like that and let them dry out. I really should do research on that. This is a bed of randomness. It was flowers. Some okra ended up in here. I'm not even sure how that happened, but we're going to try to get all this cleaned out today. This is broccoli and cabbage. So this is a volunteer marigold. I just haven't pulled it. These are my broccolis. This is another volunteer marigold, but it is fixing to sprout, so I decided to leave it, and hopefully it will not hinder the broccoli plants. And on the other side of that bed, we have 2 spinach plants and then our cabbage. And our cabbage is just starting to head up. See in there. Every year when I plant stuff, I always forget just how much room they take up. And these cabbages are so big that they are coming through the fence and might actually shade out the broccoli. So I'm trying to prop them up against the fence so that maybe they won't. Fingers crossed on that. This bed right here, we have 4 more spinach plants planted, and these 2 little snacking peppers. And this is another volunteer. It's either gonna be a ground cherry. Yeah, I think that's another ground cherry. That's a volunteer. That probably won't make anything. The one over there actually has some ground cherries on it, so we might get some off of that before the frost, but this one probably won't. This bed right here is my okra, and my okra is still producing. We're still getting a good bit off of that, and I like to chop that up, put in a bag with some cornmeal and some seasonings, and put it in the freezer. And then when I want some for supper, I just pull some out, bake them up. I like to bake okra way better than fried okra. We had a ton of kale planted in here. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And I think the rabbit got in here and ate all of the kale other than this one and that one. Here's another start that I had, so I'll get that in the ground. But this is what all the kale looks like now. So we might have to buy a couple more plants if I don't have any more starts over there by the greenhouse. This bed is 100% volunteer stuff. These are volunteer green beans, and they actually have green beans on them. I have came out here numerous times and harvest enough green beans for me and Peyton for supper. And there's another one down here, but I think this one's pretty much dead now. The ants got it. And then you have 1, 2, 3 potatoes. I did have potatoes in here, I think last season, so we may pull these potatoes up to see if there's any potatoes underneath. I guess I forgot a couple in here. This is the asparagus bed. This I'm just allowing to die back now, and once it dies back, we'll chop all the ferns down and throw it in there and let it go to sleep for the winter. We are still getting asparagus coming up, so I might need to dig in there and see if there's any we can pull out for supper. Me and Cheese are the only ones that like it, so I don't really need a lot. That one's kind of small, but need to get in there and see what we can find on that. This is another bed of volunteers. So this is the sugar snap peas that just came up, and there's another one down there, and then we have some Swiss chard, and these are cucamelons, I believe. There's one there and one there. They're not going to make anything. I got to get all this cleaned up. I'm just kind of showing y'all what's volunteering. So I've now had my garden long enough that I'm starting to get random volunteers. Although some of this is not even going to make into food or make into anything that we can harvest off of it, I just like to have it growing because it just makes me happy. Y'all, we are trying again for the 3rd year in a row to grow Brussels sprouts. I think we got them planted at the correct time. We got extra water lines in here because they need tons of water. And we have worked on feeding them. I have already fertilized them twice since they've been planted. Once when they was planted and once I side dressed them. And now we're just going to start giving them a bunch of nitrogen. And we already have little baby Brussels sprouts on there. So this is going to be a long process, and fingers crossed that we are able to grow them this year, because I love Brussels sprouts and I cannot grow them. Nobody likes them. Not really. Okay. In my Brussels sprouts is also a volunteer okra that has okra on it. Do you want to say hey, Nova? So those are my Brussels sprouts. They're getting big. Now, the in-ground garden. I'll give you kind of a little quick view, and then I'll tell you my plans with this. These are my Mad Hatter peppers. I have not been able to get out here and even pick them, so they're really going to waste. This is empty. This is next year. My plans are next year. So these are all my tomatoes, and we got a watering system for them. And so I plan on having that green stalk and that green stalk and basil. And then in these holes of these bricks, I would plan on having marigolds in them. Fingers crossed that's what's going to happen, and it's going to work great. This plant, however, if we don't get a freeze, is actually coming with some more tomatoes. So there's some on this one too. So we might get more tomatoes. I need to get this one pinned up. Like I said, I haven't had time to do anything out here at all. So got to get that pinned up. This is the main thing we're working on today. So I've already started digging sweet potatoes. Some of them split. Something got underground and has been eating some of them. But this is probably the best sweet potato year we've had. We have some really decent sized sweet potatoes. And this is all just from this little section right there. So I have to go all the way down and then come all the way back on this row. So hopefully we can get all 3 of these buckets filled. Today I would like to get all these sweet potatoes dug, get all these okras out. I'm going to get all this raked out because there's a lot of pecans in here because we are up underneath a pecan tree. Get all this raked out, get all the weeds pulled, and get it tarped. And I might put some compost on it and get it tarped so that it can go to bed for winter, and maybe kill a lot of this grass and stuff like that, so that next year we can start fresh. I'm going to try to do the Bruce Stout method, the no-tilling, just building up the soil with compost and doing the pathways with that mulch. All right, so real quick, we're gonna pull these little volunteers and see if there's anything with them before we get over there on these sweet potatoes. Been working on soil health, if you can see how dark that soil is. So putting some compost and worm castings and stuff like that in there, and it's really good. I don't think there was nothing with that. It has these little things on it, so I think it was just starting to grow. But let's see the other two, what they have. That one actually had a potato on it. It's split. I'll probably just give that to the pigs, but it's pretty cool for volunteer food that I didn't plant. So this one had, that was I guess the seed potato. So it's all mushy, and it had a couple little ones that was starting to grow. I'm not gonna keep any of this. I just thought it was cool to see what was underneath everything. Now we're gonna get back to the sweet potatoes. I will put y'all on a time lapse and let y'all see how I dig up some of them, and then I will show you how much we got at the end. This was two different types. I have the types inside. I can put them up on the screen, what types they are. I haven't been able to tell them apart from one row to the other row, but we'll see how many we get out of all the slips that we planted. Alright y'all, we have it all covered. This is some thick mill plastic I got at Home Depot. It was a lot cheaper than buying a silage tarp from some of the places that you can buy gardening supplies from. So hopefully this will keep all the weeds suppressed. It'll kill anything that's already started to germinate so that we won't get new weeds next year. This is actually bigger than what the in-ground space is that I plant, but I figured I'd rather have it bigger than smaller. So we'll see how this does when I uncover it next year in 2025 and plant my summer and spring crops in here.